Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Cari's hopping on now. It's Monday, you guys. It is May 1st. Can you believe that? I cannot believe how fast the year has gone, you guys. It's May 1st. And we're just really excited to be here today. Like I said, Cari's hopping on. But today, Cari and I, or maybe it'll just be myself if she's having some technical difficulties. So today, Cari and I, we talk quite frequently about self-awareness. And we all know how important self-awareness could be when it comes to your personal life and your business and reflecting on how you are personally growing. And so you've probably heard Cari and I talk about that quite regularly. But today, I really wanted to dive into reflecting on your business and specifically how your business is going. So I'm going to break it down, and if Cari hops on too, we'll break it down into 5 different warning signs about how your business is growing, or are these warning signs showing you that your business is actually in jeopardy? This is a great time of the year. It's mid-year to really start reflecting on the different things that you are doing to ensure that your business is set up for success by the end of the year. So 5 warning signs. If you guys know, I'm operations. I love numbers. I like to be super clear. I want to be crystal clear about what the warning sign is going to be. And then I'm going to actually give you strategies as well to make sure that if this warning sign is actually happening in your business, that you know the strategy to start implementing something new. Hey, Cari, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay. So I gave a little introduction. I let everybody know what is going on and what we're going to talk about this morning about different warning signs to know, like, is your business in jeopardy? So we're going to dive in. Anything that you want to say, Cari, before I jump into the first thing?
Great conversation. We need to be aware of any sort of red flag showing up. You can make a decision to do something different. So hopefully you guys are taking notes.
Yep. So the first warning sign is you're reactionary and you're making decisions from a scarcity mindset. And I know that that sounds super simple and maybe you don't even realize you're doing it. Yeah. But are you making decisions in your business and in your life because you're actually fearful? And so, Cari, what can this look like? What are some examples of how somebody is actually responding or showing up from a scarcity mindset?
Yeah. We have a lot of conversations you and I have on a daily basis, Haley, that sometimes they're pretty obvious that there's scarcity and sometimes not so much, right? So I think the real obvious ones are you are either not spending enough money, because you do have to invest some money in your business to make money. So like you're absolutely overthinking every possible expense. You don't want to try something new, even if there's, some good results other people are having with it. You are so tied to your, what you don't have in terms of money that you can't let go of any of it to grow it. But there's also the controlling. Like everybody will say, I'm a control freak. I'm just a control freak. I can't let go of any of the things I do. I've tried a transaction coordinator. I've tried this, I've tried that, but I just am a control freak. It becomes an excuse or limiting belief. And some people will just adhere to the fact that it's just who I am. And so, it is what it is. And that isn't true. You can be anybody you want to be. And oftentimes the control is actually coming from a scarcity mindset because you believe that you can't have anything, go wrong at all in order to continue to build your business. And the reality is that, it doesn't have to be you doing it. And you can't afford to make those leverage choices. In fact, you sometimes can't afford not to. But those are 2 really more obvious ones we see all the time, right, Haley?
Yeah, and some of the other things that I have noticed personally, just from my coaching clients or from conversations that I've been a part of, is a lot of times people are just afraid. They're afraid of surrender. They're afraid of saying no to something. So if you are impulsively saying yes to things because you feel like, oh my gosh, if I don't say yes to this, I'm going to lose the business. Yeah. Or I can't say no. Like if there are no boundaries in your life or in your business, that is also a serious problem. So you're not setting boundaries. You're saying yes to things. Like Cari said, maybe you need to make a hire. Maybe you need to hire a showing assistant, or maybe you need to hire a transaction coordinator, but you don't want to because you don't want to spend the money.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, money is simply energy. It is simply energy. And when you're hanging on to it so tightly, what are you actually projecting out into the world? What are you projecting out to the universe when you're so attached to the number that's in your bank account? Are you actually putting a value on yourself based on the amount of money that's in your bank account? Like, has anybody actually thought of that? Um, Another thing, Cari, is a lot of people, they'll come to me and they'll really want coaching around systems, around operations, around different strategies and processes. But then when we talk about what the investment costs to do that, they immediately shut down because they're afraid to invest in themselves. Honestly, it's not always money either. It's because they don't think that they're worthy of the investment. So if these things are affecting you, if any of these warning signs are coming up, let's talk about what the strategy would be. If this is the number one warning sign, if you have done any of these things we just listed, here's the strategy that Cari and I recommend for you. The first thing is, we want you to start surrounding yourself with people who are going to start inspiring you and empowering you to stop making decisions simply based on money or scarcity. And they're going to help you to create boundaries, because who you surround yourself with matters. Okay. You want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with people who have probably been in a similar situation to you, because we've all started somewhere, but they're successfully executing. They're successfully executing. They're actually using the strategies that EXP has taught, or their financial advisor has given them, or even their coach has given them. They're actually executing, and they're doing the things, and they're successful at it. You see the pattern of growth that they have. And this is actually a great place to start to be inspired by people who have been in your situation, and they're successfully doing something different than you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can borrow their successes to tell yourself and to reverse that scarcity mindset, that there is opportunity, that this does work. Sometimes you have to see other people doing it in a close vicinity to you to be able to like look at that and go, oh, it is actually possible. It's one thing to watch people on YouTube and not really know who they are, not really see them as a human being in the same way succeeding than it is to actually have a close knit group of people around you. Even if you only meet them for a mastermind once a month, the reality is it's a human being that's gone before you, that's doing things that you should be doing and getting results from it, and has gone through similar situations. And that is very, very empowering.
Yes. And also to be focused and very aware of what you're listening to, the conversations that you're in, the news that you are subjecting yourself to, podcasts, conversations, everything that you're listening to. I think Cari and I, we've even said this before. If you do not have control over what you're feeding your mind, the world around you will then start to control what you're listening to, whether it's on your phone, what other people are listening to in the workplace, the conversations that they have. If you do not have control over that, your phone, the TV, and the people around you will then start controlling it for you. So you absolutely have to be very aware of what you're feeding yourself in your mind, and setting yourself up for success every single day based on what you're listening to and the intention that you're putting behind what you're feeding your brain and your mind. And then lastly, with this particular warning, and I kind of just mentioned this before, but get into action with a strategy that actually works.
Yes.
So take a look at the people who are successfully executing, and success leaves clues.
Yeah.
Find somebody who is using the strategy and they're doing it and they've mastered it, and start mimicking what they are doing. Like I said, success leaves clues. You can find people. There are so many people here at EXP who are successfully navigating this market. They're navigating conversations. They're pouring into other people, and they're listening to things that are really empowering. I would just start by simply reaching out to them, having an introduction, attending one of their masterminds, and asking them, hey, what are you reading right now? What are you reading? What are you reading? What shows are you watching? What podcasts are you listening to? What emails do you currently subscribe to? You want to make sure, like, that's just a starting point, right, Cari? So simple, easy, it's free, but reach out to them and ask them, what are you currently doing? Here's where I'm at, and I really want to get to basically be on the same road as you. What should I do?
Absolutely. And I think just from an EXP perspective, for most of you, you may not know that you can easily just go into your broker stateroom, make a post about, hey, who lives in this area? Name your suburb, name the part of the city that you live in. Does anybody get together? Do you have masterminds? Do you want to? Who wants to meet for coffee? You can absolutely know who are the top teams or the top agents. I mean, that's pretty obvious probably when you see their signs around your area. Give them a call. Ask them if you could take them to lunch or buy them a coffee. Most top agents will say yes and will be very flattered that you ask them. Also, remember, check out the EXP calendar for education. You guys, you can pick whatever topic you want. You can meet somebody well across the country that's crushing it in what you want to do. And you can absolutely go work chat them or pick up the phone and call them, because you can find their profile right on Workplace and their cell phone number is right there. I will venture to guess that 98% of the time you'll get a positive response. And if you don't, try the second person, because then you're most likely for sure going to.
Definitely.
But there are so many people. EXP Family Tree is 9,000 agents from all over the world in all different downlines. So it doesn't matter. Make a post in there and say, I'm looking to collaborate with people in this area. Does anybody know anybody with EXP in this area? Just put yourself out there, use the resources that you have available, and it will start to change your thinking, just simply because you're not sitting like an island on your own, only listening to your own thoughts. You now are around other people, and you can start to grow your own mindset. And of course, be cautious and make sure when you are sitting with that person, it is somebody that you believe is going to feed you with positivity and empowerment and whatnot. Of course, Haley and I are here to help you with that too. So always reach out to us.
Yes, reach out, definitely. So then the second warning sign, you guys, number 2 today, is going to be your database is not growing. We all know that if your database, a growing database equals a growing business. And so a stagnant database equals a dying business. Do you have a steady and consistent flow of leads that are coming into your business? If not, then now is the time, you guys. Now, May 1st, today, like not tomorrow, not next week. Don't wait until next quarter. Do it today. What is the strategy or the systematic plan that you have in place to bring in a consistent flow of leads? Listen, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you guys the secret. You don't even have to think of this on your own. You guys, you could just call me or text me or reach out to me on work chat. Same with Cari. We are here to support you. You don't have to sit like Cari said, on this island by yourself. We have so many amazing, talented people who are looking to pour into each other. If you're a new agent and you're just not quite sure where to even start, you don't have to do it alone. But here's the reality. If you do not have systems in place to bring in new leads to your business, that is a serious issue, right? So Cari, in this case, if your database is not growing and you honestly, like, let's just say you don't even know where to begin and you're just feeling overwhelmed, because this is definitely a warning sign, what would the strategy be?
Yeah, so I think 2 strategies depending upon who you are. Number 1, where are you spending your time right now in life and business? Are you putting yourself in positions where you're meeting new people or not? If the answer is no, then you need to figure out how you can. I love to think about work and life integrated together. So can you go pick a new place to volunteer? Can you get more involved at your church? Can you be the mom that brings the snacks to your son's, baseball games?
Yeah.
What can you do to get a little bit more involved instead of just showing up? A lot of times people will just show up to church, just show up to a volunteer, just show up to a game. But if you can get more engaged and involved, it helps you to just be a better person in society, I think, but it also helps you build your business. So you're doing it feeling good about your contributions and building your business, because anytime that you can meet new people gives you an opportunity to put them in your database, and you have to come up with a simple script. But if you start to just talk to people, hi, my name's Cari. Oh, hey, Haley, nice to meet you. Oh, where are you from? Oh, what do you do? Oh, what do you do? I mean, a normal conversation is going to somehow get out that, oh, I'm a realtor. I mean, it's almost impossible for it
mhm.
not to come around if you're just being authentic, trying to meet the new people when you're volunteering or when you're meeting the parents at baseball because you're handing out the treats, etc. So when that happens, try to get into conversation, build that rapport, and see what it is that you can do to get some contact information. Hey, check out my website. Oh, hey, let me put you on my phone. I just want to make sure, if we're doing anything for baseball, right?
Right.
Now you get their contact information. And when you send an email out about baseball, send it out from your work email. You never have to say a single thing about work, but if you're constantly sending out those volunteer opportunities and update to the people in your church group, whatever the case may be, with your work email, because that's the email that you use for everything, then they are going to see that you're a realtor. They're going to see your information. I did that for years and got tons and tons of people to reach out to me randomly because they're like, hey, I remembered you were in real estate. We were thinking of this. Can you help us with this? Can you answer this question? I had never really said much about real estate to them, unless they asked a question at a game or something, but it was more that subliminal messaging, if you will.
Right.
And then, of course, put them on your newsletter drip campaign. You want to be cautious when it's people that you're integrating in your work and life, at least in my opinion. And right now, I feel like with databases and CRMs, if you can do a really good, interesting, value-packed newsletter once a month, that's probably all you need to do via email. If they want to use your website to search properties and just keep up to date with what's going on in the area, that's a great tool to use because they are in control of it. They opt into it. They want to see what they want to see. They can favorite. They can suggest things. Of course, this is all available to you, included in your $85 a month at EXP with KV Core. So, I mean, to me, these are just simple ways to get into conversation and just be connected to people and not bombard them or overdo it, which is what most of our limiting beliefs are. I really want to quickly say on the flip side of that, the second thing is simply to go and meet new people on social media. You have your core of social media friends, your sphere of influence. Figure out how to go meet their friends of friends, engage in posts, see people that are posting on your friends' posts that you don't know, comment, get into conversation with them, make a joke about your mutual friend, and then go friend request them, say something about the post. 99% of the time, they're going to accept your friend request because now you have a common mutual friend, and now you're adding people to your social media on a daily basis as well.
Absolutely. So let's just dive in, Cari. I know we only have about 10 minutes or so left. So let's dive into number 3. The third warning sign today that your business may be in jeopardy is if you only have one source of leads.
Yes.
I'm sure that many of you have heard the analogy of if you like your business should be very similar to a bar stool, and you should have multiple legs on the bar stool, each leg being a different type of lead source. Because if one of those legs gets cuts off, then we don't want to just have a one-legged bar stool that then topples over because that lead source is taken away. Yeah. So I want you to think about when I think of leads, immediately I think of, do you own your client acquisition strategy? And by that, I mean, if you are solely focused on one strategy that you're paying for and that business goes under, or that business decides no longer to give leads out, then you actually don't own that client acquisition strategy. Organic strategies such as your sphere of influence, which is your database, your open houses, Facebook, social media, TikTok, all of those types of leads that you are generating organically on your own, you own those leads. They're yours. It's organic. And no matter what happens, they're still going to be yours. So I want you to focus today when I also talk about, you only have one lead source. I want you to think about how much things have evolved in our market and even in social media over the past 5 to 10 years. We have to remember that change is going to come, and lead sources that are effective now might not be effective in the future. So I want you to think about, I remember several years ago when I was the director of lead generation for a large real estate team here in Arizona, we started to get YLOPO leads, if any of you have used YLOPO before. And so in the beginning, we were using YLOPO leads and they were generating through Facebook. And in certain states, that was really, really effective. But over a course of a year, what we found is that Facebook, especially in the Arizona market, became very saturated. And so everybody was getting lots of advertisements on Facebook, and it just wasn't working the same as it probably was in some other states. So it became not effective for us to use that. So I want you to think about, what can you be doing, or what can you continue to do that's working right now, and how can you continue to evolve that, and how can you be innovative and kind of stay ahead of what those changes may be. It really starts with educating yourself on what's working in your market, and remembering that if you are going to do something that's innovative, will that continue to work for you in a year from now, 2 years from now? And we also want to make sure that we're still focusing on the organic leads that are coming in. You really want to master your open house strategy, how you're farming, like Cari mentioned a few moments ago, how you're connecting with people on social media. Because social media, when we say social, that is actually what you need to be doing on social media, is being social. It's connecting with people, commenting on their post, building relationships online, even if it's a bit uncomfortable. Can you master that strategy? And who's currently doing that now that you can start following and learning from?
Yeah.
Anything else that you would add to that, Cari?
Yeah, no, I mean, think about it. Your sphere of influence will stand the test of time always. So you never have to worry about that running its course. However, you do have to get creative. Are you doing more pop buys? Are you doing more events? Are you getting people involved in the community? Are you going business to business? Are you doing videos with people on that have other businesses in your area to stay top of mind? Like, you have to get creative and do it in your own personality and in a way that makes sense for you. But your sphere of influence and your following on social media should never really be lost on you. You just need to make sure that you continue to stay on top of it. And if it gets a bit stagnant, try something new and make it about you. And so that's the only thing I would add there. But your Google My Business, have you optimized that lately? I would highly encourage that you do. If you do open houses, or even if you haven't, I would try to get involved in that strategy. Homes in some areas are staying on the market a little bit longer, depending upon the market that you're in. And even if they're not, if you can grab that open house the very first weekend, it is one of the best client acquisition strategies that you can have. But if you're not sure how to make it an event, you do need to make it an event pre, during, and after the open house. You should have checklists and systems in place. And if you want to know more about that, I did a really, really great interview on EXP Family Tree. All you need to do is go into that workplace group and search my name, and then you'll be able to see the most recent ones, and you'll find it. I mean, it was amazing, and it will give you some really, really, really good ideas.
Yes, absolutely. And, I forgot about events too, because events are, listen, people want to connect with other people. People want, my daughter just asked me this morning on the way to school. She was like, what does love language mean? Because she found the book that we have on our shelf. And I was talking to her about the love language of physical touch. And in, of course, a non-sexual way, how can you bring physical touch into the workplace if that is somebody's love language? It's through events. It's through actually connecting with people. Another love language, spending quality time with people, hugging them, shaking their hands, helping them to feel appreciated and seen. And even if the event is simply for other realtors to connect, to have coffee once a month, I see so many people here at EXP that are doing this, and it's effective and it's purposeful and there's an intention behind it. And it's just a great way to show other people, to pour into them and help them to feel appreciated, because that is one of, to feel appreciated, to know that you're contributing and that you're growing other people. It's just an amazing gift. Let's quickly do number 4, Cari. The 4th warning sign is communicating with your database. If you are communicating with your database, but it's not consistent, you guys, that's a number 1 warning sign right there. We should probably put this number 1. If you're inconsistent with your communication, do you have a CRM? How are you staying in touch with people? You guys, this is my jam. I'm telling you right now, reach out to me if you're having any issues with consistent communication. We want to make sure that everyone that is in your phone and that you've connected with on social media is in your database. We want to make sure that everybody has been onboarded correctly, that there's automation that's been properly set up, and that updates and tasks are reminding you to reach out to people. Because even me as an operations and systems strategist, you guys, I don't remember everything. I'm not even going to remember to put everything on my calendar. That's why I have a CRM that does it for me. And At EXP, we have a great CRM to use. KV Core is fantastic. Is everybody on a monthly newsletter? Are you checking in every quarter through a text or a phone call? Are you building a relationship and a time frame for future business? And most importantly, you guys, are you asking for the business? Are you asking for referrals? Please put this in your database. Oh my God, it makes me so jacked up to think about. But I know we only have a few more minutes, Cari, so can we jump into number 5?
Yes, we certainly can. I have to just say, the reality is that you can't run a business without having a system around communication with the people that know you. It's just literally impossible. So please listen to what Haley says and reach out if you want some tips. Number 5 is that you've stopped growing personally. So Haley and I talk about this all the time. Thus, our conversations around holistic growth and business and life together, because you are your business as a human being that runs a business. You are the business. And if you're not growing yourself, then your business absolutely can't grow.
Yeah.
You can keep trying to throw business solutions at things that aren't, business problems if you want to, but you're just not going to get the result. Most of our issues coming up in our business are personal problems showing up in business. And they are our personal challenges with our limiting beliefs, our feeling of unworthiness, our poor communication skills, our, lack of self-leadership skills. The list kind of goes on and on. And we all have that, and we're human beings, and we all need to grow. We all actually have an innate human need to grow, by the way. So if we're not growing, we are dying. That's how we feel anyway. And so is our business. And so for me, this is one of the most important ones because it's one of the least obvious. Of the other 4 things that we shared, you probably are like, oh yeah, I know I should be doing that. I know. And yet
but you're not actually doing it.
This one, people are like, oh, I didn't really think about that one. It definitely isn't on my calendar. It's definitely not a priority. I don't really think much about it. I don't have time to pour into myself because I'm too busy with my family and my work. But this is part of your work. You have to make this part of your job description, and it has to be on your calendar, because if not, you will absolutely just not grow your business.
Yeah. And so here is something I just want to share with you guys today. If you're learning how to grow in lead generation, because we just talked about that, if you are confused about how to communicate, not confused, but if you feel like you're not motivated to get your database in order, and it's definitely not consistent, and I think that there's actually could be a lot of shame around this because we're taught so much in real estate that lead generation is so important. But if you're feeling a certain way around this is actually a great place to start growing. This is a place to start being more self-aware and finally be honest with yourself in a safe space to say, I'm not being consistent. Yeah. I'm not learning the way that I want to. I feel drained. I don't have the boundaries that I want to have. I'm scared. All of the things that we talked about today, this is a great place to start by acknowledging where you need to grow. And listen, I have told you guys countless times, lead generation, that's my jam. And so is databases. So if you guys we're here for you. Just reach out to me. I will just love to have a conversation with you about what your CRM looks like. And a lot of us, Cari, how many people do we know who've been onboarded to EXP, but they haven't even started using KV Core, or they're not using a CRM at all? Don't be ashamed or embarrassed, you guys, because you're not the only one. There's lots of people, but I'm happy to show you how to get it started. Just reach out.
And actually, to Haley's point, that's the whole thing. You just have to get started. So all the things that we mentioned today, just one small change is going to make a difference. You move in the direction of growth in one of these areas, and it's absolutely going to help you. And it's going to be the domino that helps move it to the next. So it looks like we have to kick it off because we're already at our time. Up next, we have Jake.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Paluscio with Arizona Premier Real Estate Group at eXp Realty in Metro Phoenix and Scottsdale, Arizona. Today, I'm going to be teaching you about new construction, your value in representing a buyer. So I'm going to tell you a few things that you're going to need to know if you're going to want to work in this area. The first thing is know the build process. Registration of clients. Then they get pre-qualified with the builder's lender, lot selection and home selection. Then they go to contract with structural choices, earnest deposit, design center choices, building begins, walkthroughs and inspections, closing, and then the post-closing builder visit around 10 to 12 months. Make sure you know the methodology that happens with your new builders, so this way you can be very knowledgeable about that. That's first and foremost. Same thing as knowing the process in a resale home. You have to know the new construction process so your clients know what to expect. The second thing is educating the buyer. So buyers don't know what they don't know. Just like a first-time home buyer, a new build is a different type of process than resale. So you need to educate them. One of the things, the biggest things you need to help them understand is that the site agent represents the builder. They don't represent them. So they need representation. Therefore, they need you. And you need to go over agency, the buyer advisory, the buyer broker agreement. You can do a retainer if you want on the buyer broker agreement, but you really need to explain the buyer broker agreement. And here is why. Some builders may not offer real estate co-broke commissions. In the boom, when things were selling like hotcakes, some builders offered zero compensation. Your clients need to understand that you need to be compensated for your time. So if you get into a situation where the market is hot and builders are offering zero compensation, if they want to be represented by you, then they're going to have to pay you. And the same goes for if that's not the case and they go into a new build without you and register, and then they want you to represent them, the builder will no longer in many cases allow you to represent them if you weren't there on their first visit. So you need to cover yourself to get paid. So you need to have them understand and make sure you have a buyer broker agreement signed with them. This way you get paid. You're either going to get paid by the builder or by your client. So this also goes for when they look online. When they're looking online and they're searching and they're looking in an area and they see, oh, a new construction, new build community is where I'm looking in the area. And then they click on it, they look at the new builds, they're like, oh yeah, click for more information. I'm going to register for more information. Some builders, once they do that registration, they are now registered without a realtor. So the online registration can be just as important as the in-person registration, because they may have signed up online, then you take them to the new build and go to register them, and you get a phone call from the builder's agent that says, I'm sorry, they were pre-registered online without you, so we're not going to pay you commission. So you really need to protect your commission by educating your buyers and making sure they understand, first and foremost, do not sign up for anything with a builder. You will get them the information they require and more in most cases. And second, do not go into a new home build just to look at the models. If you want to just look at the models, go with you first, just the same as they would in a resale. They have to think of it like that. It has to be a relationship with you and your client that you go and help them and show them the new builds, because there's a lot of things that you need to point out and help them to understand. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked that they may not know how to ask. We're going to go through some more of those things too in this few minutes that we have together. Okay, so visiting homes. When you finally get to take them to a home, there's a bunch of things that you want to know. You want to ask questions that you're there. What are the standard features? What is the home sale contingency policy? That means if your client has to sell a home in order to buy a new build, what is their policy? Will they even go to contract with someone who has to sell their home? Some builders won't. They won't even take a contract if you have to sell your home currently in order to purchase their home. So they won't even accept that. And some of them say, well, if you go under contract with us, then you have to have your home sold within 30 days or 60 days, not even 30 days prior to closing. You need to sell your home now. So these are things that you need to find out. You can find out from the builder either before you go to site, or you can ask these questions on site. So this way your buyers understand those types of things. You need to ask if there are any incentives for quick deliveries. Are they giving closing costs? So many times a builder will offer closing costs or money towards upgrades or a discounted base price. There's lots of different incentives a builder could offer, and you need to find out what these incentives are. So this way your client can understand that, hey, if I go with this home that's already being built, or if I build from scratch for over a 10-month period, there is an incentive to buy right now versus waiting and building more custom. What is the warranty? What are the energy efficient features? What separates that builder from other builders? What makes you different than the builder down the street? What is the HOA fee? Most new builds have an HOA. What's that monthly fee? Is it monthly, quarterly, yearly? What is that? What does it include? We need to find out all of those things. Are there any restrictions that are specific to your client? Like, does your client have a work vehicle? Is he going to be able to park that work vehicle in the driveway? If he's not going to be able to park that work vehicle in the driveway, then maybe this isn't the right community for him. You need to find those things. Home setback on the lot. How far is the home going to be set back on the lot? Are they going to have a front yard? Is a front yard important to them? Is the backyard important? Sometimes the home setbacks on certain lots are really far back, which makes the backyard that much smaller. So you have to ask about setbacks. What are some of the community amenities, and when will they be finished? Is there a community pool? Will it be gated? When will those things be in effect? When will they be completed? Especially if your buyer is buying at the beginning of a build of a community. Are they going to be done right away, or are they going to be done in 6 months or a year? That could be very important to them. Is the home going to be in a floodplain? Is the community in a floodplain? Is landscaping included with the price? Many times front yard landscaping may or may not be included, and the same with the backyard. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. What kind of fencing are they going to have? Some clients, it's very important to have privacy, but if they're going to have view fence in the back of their home, that may not work for them. So you need to find out about the kind of fencing. Is it in a community funds district? That means that the builder made a deal with the city, and therefore the taxes in that community are going to be much higher because the builder had deferred community fees that they made a deal with the city that the homeowners will be paying. And is it in that, does it have a community funds district tax that they're going to be paying? Because they may think down the street taxes are $2,000, and in this community they're going to be $3,000, and they won't know that until they get their tax bill. So that may be important for them. So you want to ask about taxes. Other things to ask is, what are the standard features? If the standard features, what's included in the home and what's not included. Some homes will be, granite will be included countertop, stainless steel appliances. Those things are included. Other home builders, that won't be included. You'll just have a laminate. Those will be upgrades. So you need to know what are the standard features versus what are the upgraded features. Then when you walk through the model with your clients and they get oohed and awed by all the gorgeous things that are in a new build, you can point out, well, I know you really like that, but that's going to be an additional cost because that's not a standard feature. That crown molding is not a standard feature. Those big 42-inch cabinets are not standard. Those are extras. 36-inch cabinets are standard. You're going to need to know all of these things on this, what is standard and what's not, so you can understand when you're walking through the model, when your clients like something, whether or not that is going to be included. Is the accordion folded screen door going to be included, or is that an upgrade? The 9-foot ceilings, are those included, or is 8-foot ceilings a standard? So those are things that are all really, really important, so you can guide your client through the home and let them understand what is included and what is not included. So other things to point out is the lot size of the model bigger or standard? The backyard size varies also depending upon the footprint of a home. So if your client wants a bigger version of the home and that model is available, but it's just not modeled on site, they have to understand that the backyard is going to be smaller because the footprint is bigger. So you need to be able to point those things out to them as well. You also need to know the differences between a structural upgrade and a cosmetic upgrade. A structural upgrade happens at the time of contract because those need to go into the building plans when they go into the city. So your client immediately at contract has to make their structural choices and their structural selections. So when they go to a new build, some of the structural selections are extended covered patio, the height of the ceilings. These are things that cannot be changed. If there's options, if they're going to have an extra bathroom or they're going to have an extra bedroom versus a den, all of these are going to be structural items. Anything that will be built in the structure, framing, or something that's going to change the footprint of the home. Those are structural options, and those need to be chosen at the time of contract. Cosmetic options are type of countertop, type of cabinets, types of lighting, flooring, paint. All of that is cosmetic, and that will be done later at the design center. Although some builders will not even allow your clients to have choices. They have pre-made design selections. So you need to find out if these design center selections are something that your buyer is able to do, or is there going to be a pre-packaged on this particular home where it'll be a gray selection, a gray package, or a luxury package. And what does that include? And let them see the choices in that particular home or lot that they are interested in. So you need to know the difference between structural and cosmetic. Also, base price versus upgrades. You need to ask the sales rep at the site, what is the average amount of upgrades that people are putting into homes? Most people for most builders put about 10 to 20% of the base price in upgrades. So your client needs to know when they advertise that a house is starting at $500,000, you're probably looking at $550 minimum with upgrades, because not everything is included. Soft water loops sometimes are not included. That's a structural upgrade. Some hot water heaters, a choice of hot water heaters, those are not always included, whether it's a regular hot water heater or an on-demand hot water heater. You can have those builders email you what the selections are. If you have a client that I must have granite and I must have this, and those are upgrades, you can either have them email you or tell you right then and there what the cost of that type of a selection will be. And then this way, your client can go through and decide before they go to contract about how much in upgrades they're going to need. And this may qualify them or disqualify the community as a possibility for them if the price goes way too high. So that's really important. Tile floors, extended covered patio, higher ceilings and doors, and upgraded appliances are really popular for clients to upgrade. The next thing you have to review is the public report. You need the builder has to provide you with a public report, as it will have environmental and surrounding area information. If there's an airport and you're in a flight path, who the utilities and service providers are, if the property is in a floodplain, if there's other noises and types of things around there that could be affecting the community, such as smells. You want to know if there are dairy farms or horse ranches. In Arizona, we have big dairy farms where there's lots of cows, and you can imagine sometimes if the wind is blowing right and it blows right into community, you can smell it, and it's not very nice. So you need to know what's happening in the surrounding area. Usually airplane noise and other types of manufacturing is something that's going to affect that with that community. The other document you're going to get is the CC&Rs. The CC&Rs are the HOA documents that you're probably dealing with in resale. Same things you need to find out about: street parking regulations, landscaping restrictions. Some of the things that affect a new build is if you have a view fence over into a community area, sometimes they will have restrictions on what you can do in your backyard. So if you have a great lot that backs up to a common area, but you have view fence, sometimes HOAs will restrict how you can design your backyard, and you have to get architectural approval for your backyard. That may not fly with a lot of buyers. They may want to do what they want to do in their backyard, and so they may not like that. So you need to check that. Work vehicles, overnight parking, RV garages, RVs, if they can park RVs in the street or in the driveway, that may not be allowed in a community. Some communities have pet restrictions. You can't have a certain number of pets. If your clients like fruit trees or to garden or like to have chickens or goats, that may not be allowed in a community, and you need to find that out. Age restrictions. There are also rules for that. If it's an age restricted community, you need to find out anything about that. And that would be knowledge for your client, that they need to know what these restrictions are. Builders use their own contracts. So you're going to have to read every new build contract like it's a new thing. It's not a residential contract, and they are very, very different. It's important that you go through them and you point out all of the things that are important for your clients to understand about this contract. Builders and their attorneys write these contracts. So guess who they sway towards? They sway towards the builders. So builders are going to absolutely going to have this contract favoring them in every way. Some of the things in these contracts are all of the title fees, everything, even the seller's title insurance, everything is paid by the buyer, which means there is no split anywhere. The buyer is going to absorb all these costs, which means the closing costs are going to be a lot higher for a new build. So you have to find out what those closing costs are, and those will be in the contract, or you can ask the sales rep. But you must read the contract and ask questions and review it. You can't just let your client sign a contract, because there's really a lot of other important points. Here are some things to look out for. One is non-refundable earnest money for any reason. Sometimes builders will put that in there, and I will read you a clause in a little bit that are my 2 clauses that you always have to be on the lookout for. So make sure you know about your client's earnest deposit, and if it's refundable at all, and if it is refundable, what are the reasons, and make sure they know going into it what that refundability is. And if there's a financing contingency, if your clients have to sell in order to buy, you need to find out that financing contingency to make sure they are okay with it. They may have to go into a rental before their house is completed if the financing contingency requires them to sell the house before within a certain time frame. Who holds the earnest deposit, or is it released to the builder? Many builders now are having the earnest deposit immediately released to them, which means it's probably non-refundable for any reason. So should your client have second choices, lose a job, or not qualify for a loan during the build process, their earnest money is gone. So they need to understand about the earnest money, who holds on to it, and if it's released to the builder. The builder is always going to want to use their title company. And again, they're going to your buyer is probably going to have to pay all the fees, which is going to make closing costs higher. There's a clause typically in there that says there's no jury trials. Builders typically lose in a jury trial. So they'll say mediation or a judge trial only if there's a problem. So you have to let your clients know that they're not going to be having their day in court with a jury of their peers. They're only either going to go to mediation or they're going to have a judge. The other thing is a performance timeline. What happens if the seller doesn't have the home ready and the buyer is relocating? What if the seller doesn't finish the home in time? What's going to happen? If your clients are relocating from another state and buying a new build, what's going to happen if they need to relocate to get a job started and their home isn't finished when the builder expected it to? When COVID hit, there were huge delays. There were delays of 5, 6, 7 months sometimes. So that would put a huge damper on if your client is relocating here. So they need to be aware of what that looks like. Replacement of like-kind materials if the builder can no longer get your client's choice from the design center, what happens? Well, most cases, your client isn't going to be able to pick. The builder's going to pick the next closest thing. And that may not be something that your client likes. Then it's put in and your client looks at it and is like, hey, that's not what I picked. I don't like it. Well, guess what? The builder has a clause in there that says they can replace like-kind materials without the buyer's approval. So make sure your buyer understands that if they can't get their design selections, the builder could possibly make their own choice without them. Also, what if mistakes are made by the builder? What if they, instead of building the den, they built the extra bedroom, or vice versa? What happens in those cases? Is the builder liable? Does the buyer have to put a change order and pay for that change? What is going to happen? You need to make sure that your client is aware of those kind of situations, that if the builder makes a mistake, what's going to happen? The same with structural design changes without their approval. There was a lady that wanted vaulted ceilings, and during the build process, the builder changed some of their things that they were doing, and they made it a flat roof. Well, she went into the home to do her final walkthrough, and she looked up, and the roof was not vaulted. The ceiling was not vaulted anymore. It was a flat roof. And they said, well, they changed their design and that's how it was. And she went crazy, but there was a clause in the contract that stated that structural or design changes were okay without buyer approval. So these are things that you need to look out for on the builder contracts. I know you're saying right now, oh my God, I can't believe they actually have that in there. Well, yes, they do. They cover themselves. It's a builder contract written by their attorneys, and they're not going to lose money if they don't have to. So that's what's going to happen. Also, another clause to find out about is if the cost of materials goes up, who pays for that? Sometimes now after COVID, when builders lost a ton of money when materials went through the roof, now they have a clause in their contracts that state that the buyer will pay if the cost of materials goes up significantly more than when they went to contract. So you need to see if that kind of a clause is in there. And the final clause you need to watch out for is what we affectionately call the squeaky wheel clause. If your client complains too much, can the builder cancel the contract and just give them their earnest money back? This has happened to people in Arizona where they complained about this, that, and the other. They didn't like this, that, and the other. And the builder said, you know what? That's fine. Here is your earnest money back, and we're canceling the contract. And they turn around and sell the house to another person. Well, at that time, your client may have already sold their house. They may be relocating here for a new job, and now they have no place to go. They have no place to live. You need to make sure that your client understands that if they complain too much, the builder can actually cancel the contract and give them their earnest money back for any reason. So we need to make sure if those clauses exist. So here are the two clauses that you really need to be made aware of. One is that it reads as such: buyer is advised that the deposit and other money advanced by buyer will not be replaced in a neutral escrow. Such monies will be paid directly to seller and may be used by the seller. This means buyer assumes a risk of losing such monies if seller is unable or unwilling to perform under the terms of the purchase agreement. Your clients need to understand that if the seller decides that they don't want to build this house, technically they can keep their earnest deposit. That is a really important clause to understand. The other clause that has been a deal breaker for some of my clients is the following. Buyer understands that if the appraised value is lower than the contracted price, the buyer is responsible for paying the difference between the purchase price and the appraised value at close of escrow. In a declining market, this is a killer clause because most buyers will just lose their earnest deposit because they're not going to be able to get the loan, and they may not have the monies to bridge the gap between the appraisal price and the contract price. So I want to make sure that you understand that clause as well. The next thing is inspections. You definitely should encourage your buyer to do inspections in a brand new build. The trades are human beings. They are building homes and they're banging them out like crazy. They make mistakes. We have found air ducts that are not getting air conditioning flow. We have found issues with roofs. We have found many, many issues in these new builds. They have the option to do one before at slab pour, one before drywall is closed up, and one before closing. So those are the three options. I always do one right before closing. That's definite. But if your client is really picky, they can do the other two. And then they can do another one at the time of the 1 year checkup that they do with the builder if they want to have another one. But typically the one before closing is the most important. It's when the home is just about to be finished or just completed, right before you do your final walkthrough. Anything that your inspector finds at this time, you basically can tell the builder these things need to be corrected and fixed. This way it's done and the home is corrected before your clients even move in, and the new move-in is a great experience. There's no issues and they can go on with their lives and really enjoy the new home. If they don't do an inspection right before closing, and a lot of builders will tell you, oh, you don't have to do it at the 1 year when we're going to come back. You want to make sure that your client does that right before they close, because if they don't do it, there could be issues like I told you, air duct. If air is not getting into one of the bedrooms, they're going to try and get some air conditioning, and nothing's going to be happening, and they're not going to know what is going on. Meanwhile, if they had the inspection, everything would have been nice and smooth and corrected before they do it. You can get a builder to correct things before you close, but it's going to be way harder to get them to correct things at the 1-year warranty mark, if they even do a 1-year warranty. So it's really important, and I can't stress it enough. Make sure they do an inspection before. And if your client won't do an inspection before they close, then you should have them sign off on a document that says that they refuse to do a home inspection before they close at your referral and your recommendation. Okay, we're getting down to the end of this. Hang with me just for a few more minutes, and I have a little bit more for you. Workplace groups for new construction. If you want to learn about new construction and what's going on, you can search workplace groups at your brokerage. They may have people that specialize in new construction, or there's some Facebook groups that are all about new construction. Builders have websites. This is how you can find out about new construction. Go onto builder websites, talk to site managers. Let them tell you about different places. Well, my client is looking for X, Y, and Z, 500,000 or less. Do you have anything that's currently being built anywhere in the valley, or do you have anything that might be coming up nearby? And they'll know, and they can give you the inside scoop on that. You can look for other areas you can look for is your MLS. They may have partnerships such as RL Brown online, the New Home Resource Guide. New Home Resource is a website that you can find some new build constructions anywhere. Builder websites, and then connecting with the agents. Some of the other things that are important about new builds is lot selection. Some lot selections have premiums. What are the best lots? A corner lot, a cul-de-sac, one with no one behind. What depends? A pie size lot. It depends on the lot house size and where it's positioned on the lot. That's going to be very important, because how much yard is going to be important. What homes are surrounding the lot? If their clients are buying a single story and they're surrounded by 2 stories, is privacy going to be an issue? If they buy a lot and there's homes behind it, are there going to be 2-story homes that are going to be looking into their backyard? When they go and look at a lot and there's nothing there, they think they're going to have privacy. And then when the home is finished, all of a sudden there's two stories being built behind them, and they're freaking out because now they have no privacy. This is something you need to find out prior to your clients going under contract for a house, is what's going to be behind the lot. And if that's a concern for them, they need to understand that there could be a 2-story behind their house if the builder builds 2-story homes. The last thing is your value proposition to your clients. You are looking out for their best interest. It doesn't pay for them not to use you. The builder has your commission built into the cost of the home. So they're not going to get a discount if they don't use you. They are going to pay the exact same price whether they use you or they don't use you. So there is no reason to use you, and it costs them nothing to use you. So they should have your expertise on their and you on their side for all of these various things. You can let them know that. There's no discounts there. You can advise on lot selection. We talked about the various things about lots that are important. You can help guide them on smart design choices in the design centers, the best value as to what is good to do now and have built into the mortgage versus what's better to do later. They may have more choice. They may not love the choices they have in the design center, and they may be too costly. You can do that stuff later. What's the best return on their investment? You can also help them to stay on budget and make sure they're not putting too much money up front. You can set up and be at all of the inspections. You can stay in touch and communicate with the site builder, the site salesperson, and the builders, and keep informed about a construction timeline. You can get monthly and weekly updates for them from the site builders and making sure you're following up. Sometimes the site salespeople forget about your clients, and your clients like, what's going on with my new build? And they don't respond. So you can get on those site agents and get those updates for them. You can also attend all walkthroughs. What happens when the market changes during a build? what's going to happen? You have to look for those clauses, read through the contracts. That's huge for you. Let them know there are a lot of hidden clauses in contracts that they may not understand. And the site manager is really not going to explain a builder clause to them that is, for the builder. They have to understand that. What is the right spot for the lot? You can also make sure the correct floor plan is built and the right things are going into the home. I've been in a home and unfortunately they put the wrong tile in, and I let my client know they had to rip out all the tile and put the right tile in. So you can be there for all of that. And you can make sure that the builder has a good walkthrough. You'll be there for the walkthrough and make sure they understand warranties and everything through the punch list. You can help ask questions and whatnot. And you can be there at the post-closing completion as well to make sure that the builder takes care of all the things that they promised they would take care of, and make sure they get everything that the builder promises in writing at the final walkthrough so they don't get missed out on anything and everything gets completed. Okay, sorry, I know that was a lot, and there's a lot of information there. I hope you were able to take away lots of great information. So now you know more about helping buyers in new construction. If you have any questions about new home construction, I've been in the business for 20 years and help a lot of clients doing new construction. You can contact me at my phone number, 602-377-0700, or you can email me, Danielle@azpremiergroup.com. I hope you enjoyed this and have a great day.
I am super excited for our next segment. Number one, I want to introduce you to Carlo Gova. Now, Carlo started in 1996 at the young age of 20. He owned his first home by the time he was just 21. He hit the top 1% of all agents nationwide, and he has never looked back, baby. He is a certified mentor, an icon agent with eXp Realty, and we are so thankful that he trains within eXp world. He's giving back to our community of agents so passionately. So let's toss it over to Carlo. Take it away.
I couldn't have done better myself. Hey, it's hard to even believe that that's me. I'm telling you right now, I am a proud eXp certified mentor, icon agent, and hopefully the 2023 Icon Instructor of the Year. You got any pull there, Alyssa? Anyway, I'm beyond excited to be here, and I'll tell you why, guys. I mean, there's people on this show, and I don't see myself like that. So hopefully I bring the fire today and give you guys value, because I look at my time as completely irreplaceable. Obviously, that's a fact. It's irreplaceable. So I hope I bring enough fire for you guys to really understand what's out there in this business and what you can expect and how you could do more business in less time and level up yourself, okay? So I'm beyond excited to be on this program, because people such as somebody that I looked up to even 25 years ago, Jay Kinder, has been on this program, and he is somebody that I paid thousands of dollars to learn from back before we were with eXp Realty. So now, using this concept, us icon agents are able to turn around and give back to the community. So one of the reasons why I came to eXp Realty, it was a little bit selfish, right? I thought, well, I can get my cat back, and why not? So all I do is I'm selling some houses at a high level, and then they give me my cat back in stock. I say that's a little bit selfish. It's not, but it is, right? But the best part to me is that I could be on a program like this that Jay Kinder has been on, Ricky Caruth has been on, Kurt Shewell. He brings fire every time I'm around him, man. I learned so much, and I've been in the business 25 years now. So people, the likes of Randy Gammo, of Jimmy Nelson, Jimmy Fantastic, as we call him. And I'm actually standing in Jason Rivers' office here in Madison Heights, Michigan. So there's people all around eXp that are caring, giving, that are icon agents. And I'm proud to be that for you today. So before we begin, I'd actually like to touch on the year before I got into real estate. And I always heard, or I heard consistently, that you had to be a fast thinker in order to be successful in business. I wasn't sure I wanted to be in real estate yet, but I was working the produce department at a local grocery store. And I was in the produce department, and I had a customer walk up to me and he says, hey, how much for a half a head of lettuce? And I wasn't sure how to answer, but I said, one moment, sir. And I turned around and walked around the corner where I knew the manager was. And I said, hey, some idiot wants to buy a half of a head of lettuce, not knowing the guy followed me. So I turned around and I said, oh, and this fine gentleman would like to buy the second half. So I hope that it's not a true story, but I hope that made you laugh. That's a little bit about me. I love to look at things from the humoristic angle. And that was the year before I was in real estate. I did stock produce. So I'm so thankful that at 20 years old, I was able to get into this business, make six figures, and never look back. So I'm happy to be on this show today. A little bit more about me is that there is no S on my name, if you'll notice. And I don't know what my mother knew, but she gave me the Italian version of my name. And so my favorite food is Italian, believe it or not. And I love things to do, sporting events. I love traveling. I love being anywhere out on the water with my fiance. I call her Gwen. Her name's Stephanie. Gwen Stefani. Again, humor. But again, I'm half Mexican, half German. My mother gave me the Italian version of the name. And sometimes when I'm doing things like this or in conversation with people, inevitably, eventually somebody asks, hey, what's your nationality? And then I tell them I'm half German and I'm half Mexican. And guess what happens? They throw the S right back on my name, which I hate. I absolutely hate that name. So anyway, that's just a little bit about me. For fun, I own a Polaris slingshot. I just bought one this past year, and that is so much fun. I love adrenaline. I love speed. I kind of terrorize the city with that. And I love things like that. I'm actually a skydiver. I never planned on becoming a skydiver. I planned on just doing one skydive. But if anybody watching this really would like to be a little bit open-minded, try it once. I believe everybody should skydive at least one time because you look at life so differently from that point forward. The first time I landed, I said, I'm doing that again because all of a sudden the impossible seemed possible to me, right? And so skydiving, I love with a passion. I have almost 200 skydives. A little bit about my family. I'm engaged to Stephanie. She's my high school sweetheart. That's a little bit of a joke as well. She was 2 years older than me and hardly even knew I existed in school, right? Who knows those underclassmen? But oh man, my heart, whew, pattered for her. So anyway, years later after school, well, we ended up married to different people and divorced, and then we ended up together. So she's my high school sweetheart. Together, we have 4 children and 2 dogs, Joey, Rachel, Heather, Eliana, and then our 2 dogs, Petra and Eva. So that's a little bit more about me. And what I'd like to do today is get right into what they brought me in here for. So who would like to level up? I'm assuming you said yes. Okay. So the first thing I want to do, and I don't like to assume because you know that what that does to you and me, but the first thing I'd like to do is cover mindset. And there's a class that I teach in the world, the EXP world, to EXP agents that is called the 3 pillars that I use to hit icon. And those 3 pillars are business plan, time blocking, and scripting. And today they wanted to bring me in to talk a little bit about the time blocking, okay? But it goes a little bit without speaking that you need a good mindset in order to advance yourself in business. If you want to grow, you need a good mindset. So let's assume that you've already got that, okay? But what I'm going to do with you next is I want to take you through some visualization. And you people watching, everyone, please humor me. Follow me. Close your eyes. And I want you to visualize what you define as success. I can't define success for you, but you can define success. Is that making 50 grand a year or 500 grand a year? Or is it other things like having a nice home, traveling the world, fine dining? Maybe you're on the beach somewhere, not working at all. Or maybe you're working when you want to work with who you want to work with, whenever you want to work, right? And spending time on the beach whenever you want, right? So I don't know what success means to you. Keep your eyes closed, but I want you to visualize those things because that's part of mindset is visualization. I want you to picture what success is defined by you as, okay? So if you'd like, you can open up your eyes now. But what I'd like to talk about is you see the vision, you see where you want to go. I want to ask you, how did that feel? Was that a good feeling to you? I hope it was, because there shouldn't be any negative feelings there in the beautiful part of life, which is success, right? Maybe success to you. And to me, it's working less than full time. So somewhere between 30 and 40 hours a week. I don't think I'd ever quit this business. I love it so much, but I want to be one of those people that makes more than enough money that I can put some away for retirement and do some things for retirement, do some things for charity, do some things for other people, not be a slave to this business. So that's exactly what one of my strengths is to help people that come on to EXP, come on to my team, work more efficiently, do more business in less time with less effort using some of these systems. Make sense? So I want you to feel what and visualize what success looks like to you. And the first pillar in the 3 pillars that I teach is business planning. So if you want to connect with me, if you're with EXP Realty already, please connect with me on our workplace page. That page is Real Estate All Stars International. And the reason why I'm asking you to connect with me there is I share some of these assets that I'm talking about there. So they're free. Okay. Yes, a lot of work has gone into them, a lot of time. In some cases, I've spent thousands of dollars for some of the things that I've learned and that I'm sharing, but that's the benefit of being an icon. And that goes back to the beginning. There's a little bit of a selfish part of becoming icon because you get your stock, you get your cat back in stock. But then also, one of the things I love is giving back, things like this. So connect with me on Workplace. There's some assets there you'll be able to find and easily download. The first pillar in my plan, and you'll find it on my page there, is a fillable 14-page business plan. Now, if you're not with eXp Realty already, my question is, why not? Kidding. But anyway, hopefully we can help you level up, and find my page, if you're not with eXp already, on Facebook, the public side of it, okay? Our Workplace is the private side of Facebook. Facebook designed that for us. And the public side, Real Estate All Stars International, that's my public page, and that's where I share things with agents such as yourself, assets that you can download and use to help you grow your business. And by the way, I have some spots that have opened up recently on my team, and I'd love to have you come on board with us. No pressure, no extra money. But the first pillar was business planning, right? So I share a 14-page fillable PDF business plan in several places. And then also in those same places, the second pillar is when you were visualizing what success means to you, I wanted you to feel, okay, I wanted you to know what that felt like, because guess what? No success is instant and easy. It takes work, right? Can we all agree to that? It takes work. So what kind of hours do you need to put into a schedule in order to help all those people that are going to help you get to where you want to go, right? And define success. How are you going to take your family out to that fine dining? How are you going to take your family out on a vacation or on a cruise? How are you going to do things for your kids that you never had in your life before growing up? You're going to do that obviously with money. Money isn't the only thing that defines success, but we all need to do more business in less time with less effort and be less of a slave to the business, if you're following me so far. So that was pillar number 2, the time blocking, and I'm going to come back on that because that's exactly what we're expanding on today, is the time blocking. But the third piece is scripting. You guys need to know your scripts. I was a 20-year-old kid when I started in this business, and I had nothing but energy. I have less energy today. I had nothing but energy back then. And people would say, Carlo's just lucky. Carlo's just lucky. And no, I mean, yes, I agree. No, I don't. Okay. Luck, I believe, is where preparedness meets opportunity. And that is a quote said by somebody I couldn't even tell you. I think it's the Roman philosopher Seneca. I could be wrong, but that's a favorite quote of mine because people would call me lucky. But if you know where you want to go, if you plan the time commitments that it's going to take to get you there, and you know the scripts that you're going to use to get there, you will get there. You may need some accountability in addition to that. And that's kind of where I come in as well. If you were to come on to EXP, I'm kind of personally helping coach, consult, and train some agents to help grow their business, help get them to icon so that if, they want their cat back in stock, they can get it. And if they want they can turn around and share some of what they've learned with the people they know, right? So that's how we keep things rolling forward here at EXP. I absolutely love it. It blows my mind. Those are the three pillars. And so getting back to time blocking, this past year, I did 61 transactions alone with no assistant, nothing, no help, no advertising, no nothing. Okay. And people have asked me, how did you do so many transactions? And I'll tell you right now, I would have pulled my hair out. I don't have much left and it's going gray already, right? I blame that on Gwen, Stephanie, my fiance, and the kids and the dogs too. But I would have been pulling my hair out if I didn't have structure. So what we're sharing here with you today is structure, okay? Business plan, time blocking, scripts, time blocking. Back to time blocking, 61 transactions. How can I do that myself? You know what? There's some things and some tricks that I had to put in place. For example, if somebody would call me up and say, you know what, we'd like to list our home with you and we're available, an evening this coming week. I would immediately say, I know that there's 2 evenings per week that I make available for the public so that I can list homes in the evening if somebody needs me in the evening. And that is Tuesday and Thursday, either at 7 o'clock or 8 p.m. So I can give them an alternate choice close if I ask them, hey, are you available Tuesday at 7 or would Thursday at 8 be better? It gives them some options, right? But another thing that I do that's a free service is I've used the product Calendly. Okay, and I hope maybe at some point, maybe they can flash that across the screen. But that's a system that's free, and I'm very, very big on free tools and low-cost tools, and I'll share a few more with you as well. But how did I do 61 transactions by myself? There are things that I had in my brain as to what my schedule was. I know if somebody wants to meet on the weekend, I actually made a commitment to myself and my business and my family last year not to work any Sundays. Okay. I actually worked one Sunday this year and it was 100% because I wanted to. And that's the position that I would like to help you become. I would like to help put you in that position as well, where you're making 6 figures plus and not being a slave to the business. But a lot of that is going to be in time blocking. I believe in time blocking because we run into so many distractions. I mean, I work from home a lot, right? So, inevitably the dogs are barking at the UPS guy or another dog walking by, and they've been pretty good. They actually work very well with me at home. But the thing is we have to limit as many of the distractions as we can in this business so that we can be productive, so that it doesn't take us 4 hours to do 1 hour worth of work, right? Because we stop and go and stop and go. So 61 transactions. I know in my schedule, if somebody needs me on a weekend, I'm going to try to schedule them between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. on Saturday. Okay. That's what I try to do. And I try to take Sundays off. If they need me on an evening, are you available Tuesday or Thursday? Would 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock be better? Right. So I try to meet as many people as I can for listing appointments during the day as well, which has really helped streamline my business. And my daytime appointment is generally right around 4 or 4:30. See, my fiance gets home from work between 5:30 and 6:30. So I like to have dinner with her. I like to just relax and unwind with her. Sometimes I'll return calls later in the evening if I have to, but I'll shut my phone off many of the times and just spend quality time with her. That's one of my love languages, and it's one of hers as well. So that's something that I've implemented into my schedule, into my time blocking, is I start out my day filling my brain with positive things, because there is so much negativity in this business if you really think about it, right? We're constantly, if you're calling people, we're constantly hearing no or no thank you, I'm not interested, right? So some of the things that I want to share today with you as well will hopefully help you get past that and around that. But 61 transactions, I definitely needed structure. I definitely needed a schedule. And between 7:30 and 8:30 every morning, my phone is on do not disturb. You can't get a hold of me. I am listening to the team call It's objection handling and so on that we do every morning between 7:30 and really it's about 8:15 to 8:30. But that's the positive filling into my mind. And sometimes if I happen to get up early, I might watch a YouTube video at 6:30 in the morning or something. I try not to watch those things at night because then it gets my mind going and I can't sleep. So I'd rather do those things that give me more energy in the morning. And that is like the positive things that are on those breakfast club calls is what we call them. So every morning, 7:30 a.m., no fail, I'm there. I might have missed 2 or 3 calls this entire year. And that's how I start my morning, is being positive. But then also with those being objection handling calls and so on, there's some things that I pick up here and there. And then the very next thing I do is I'll try to take a quick shower. And I've got a funny story about that I'll come back to in a minute. But I'll try to take a quick shower and be on the phones between 8:30 and 9. And I for sure try to make sure that nobody can bother me, nobody can interrupt me. There is nothing that's so important that I have to be dragged away for before 10 o'clock in the morning. So the next thing I do is I try to do some outbound community outreach. I call it community outreach. Sure, some people would call it cold calling, but you know what? I call it community outreach because that's a little bit of a mind play. Okay. It sounds more positive to me. It sounds like I'm giving and doing something that's caring. I had to do that for myself. I'm not cold calling people. And the main people that I call, the main 2 segments is for sale by owners and expireds. Okay. So obviously, there's a lot of objections that need to be handled in that. But the next at least 1 hour of my day, I try to make some good phone calls and try to get at least one face-to-face per day out of that activity. Now, if I've done well, if I don't have much going on that day, I might stretch it to a second hour. And ideally, I'd like to call for at least 3 hours a day. But my main point is, for me, my goals are to get one face-to-face a day, 6 per week, 24 per month, and inevitably that activity alone will help stimulate a few listings a month. Okay. So those are some of the things I do in my schedule. I try to get those things out early when I have the most energy, because you know what? Things start to catch fire or whatnot around noon, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, right? People need you here or there. The dogs are barking, everything else is happening. So try to get those things out in the morning. That's just my suggestion. But one of the things that I'd like to share with you guys is my ideal schedule. I'll share with you my exact schedule on a manipulatable Excel spreadsheet so that you don't have to recreate the wheel. Okay, I'm going to offer at the end of this a free 15-minute discovery call. If you're thinking about EXP and you're open-minded, I'm not looking to chase anybody, but you know what? If you're open-minded and you would like some free coaching and consulting and some tools, I'm happy to offer those. But the schedule is a big deal because I take every bit of time, whether it's a half hour, hour, or 2 hours, and I put all my energy into it. I try to block out distractions, maybe even put my phone on do not disturb, right? And I try to do those things in the morning when I have the most energy. So I know I'm kind of going a little bit long today, but I want to tell you a little bit of a funny story. Remember when I told you that people said that I was lucky when I was younger? And some of that I agree with. Luck is where preparedness meets opportunity, right? But I knew my scripts. I was pretty darn good at knocking on people's doors, calling for sale by owners, and I did a lot of business that way. But for some reason, and I cannot tell you why, um, well, I didn't have to do that as much my 4th, 5th, 6th, 8th year, whatever, right? But recently, when I really wanted to put the pedal to the metal and hit icon, I knew I needed to get back on the phones. So I want you guys to know, people even at my level, you're looking at this video, you're watching this video saying, wow, this guy does a lot of business, but people like me even have problems. And I'm going to show you. Okay. I went to get back on the phones recently and I got a dialer and I picked up the phone and I started calling and I sounded like I had marbles in my mouth. And I told myself, it's a joke. I told myself, you know what? We can get through this. You've done this before. You're good at what you do. You can do it, right? And I thought that would work. It didn't. It didn't. I mean, I tried everything that I could think of. I tried working out and trying to get my mind off things or trying to think about what I was going to say. And I'm pretty good at scripts, but for some reason, over the years, I believe I came with some sort of a mental block where I had a bad feeling about people that call for business, salespeople. people that are pressuring you and calling you out of the blue and taking your valuable time out of your day to sell you something that you never even reached out to them for. And that's what I was looking at cold calling as. So I had to even look at it differently at that point. Okay. I had to say, these people aren't cold calls. This is community outreach, and they're not cold calls. Yes, they don't know me. So by pure definition, that may be cold. But the fact that they've raised their hand and said, hey, I'm interested in selling my home, and then selling it themselves, obviously they don't feel they need you if it's a for sale by owner. Or if they've raised their hand and they said, I tried to sell, but this agent let me down. I had to switch my mindset and visualize myself calling them saying, hey, I'm offering help, basically. Okay. So we're going a little bit long in the series here. And what I'd like to do is just share a couple of scripts with you guys. I know that what's generally taught is more traditional, and that is, hello, my name is so-and-so, and I'm with X company, and I'm calling for X reason. Click. That's what's going to happen most of the time. And I know that there's laws that we have to abide by, but one of the greatest expired scripts that I use in my time blocking schedule has been this. And I'll call and I'll say, good morning. I'm not sure if I even have the right person or not. My research shows this phone number tied to 123 XYZ Street. Did I find the right person? And guess what? Sometimes that person will say no. But you need to keep digging, because 9 out of 10 of the average agents would go away there. I'm going to say, you know what? I really appreciate that. Do you happen to know who owns 123 XYZ Street? And guess what's happened? Several times I've heard, well, that's my cousin, or that's my fiance. And they might even play some recordings here for you to help you and listen to some of the scripts that I use, but they're a little bit more unconventional. And I'm sharing one here with you because I would love to connect with you and help you grow your business. Okay. And one of the ways we're going to do it is time blocking. So in the time blocking, there are 4 parts that you need to really concentrate on. And the first part that I recommend is vacations and personal time. Okay. Start with that, because you want things to be good. You want it to be your ideal schedule. That's what we're going to help you build. Number 2 is you need a day off every week. I don't care what anybody says. You need 1 day off every week. I happened to just shift it last year to Sundays. I never thought I could do it. Guess what? That was a mindset. I thought, well, open houses are on Sundays. That one Sunday at work this year was an open house. But after I did it, I said, you know what? I'm going to try it on Saturdays. And I got just as many people. So now I do my open houses on Saturdays, right? Mindset, visualization, time blocking. All right, guys, are you following me? So we've gone through the first 2 parts of how to set up your ideal schedule. The third one is fill in your what you're going to fill your mind with. Okay, in the mornings for me, it's 7:30 a.m. It's our objection handling breakfast club call. It's positivity, it's objection handling, and I feel like I'm ready to go on my day to pick up the phone and start calling people, doing community outreach and helping people. Okay, helping, not selling. Selling bad, helping good, right? So if I can help change your mindset, then I'd love to do that. And that's sort of what I've done for myself. Now, the funny story was I felt like I had marbles in my mouth. I had to actually, and I heard this by somebody and I didn't believe it, but I tried it and it works. I had to actually try to take cold showers, ice cold showers. And I hope you're shivering just thinking about it, because I was. And it took me about a week or 2 to even get the gumption up to try it. I tried it, and the whole point was to try to make it 1 to 3 minutes in an ice cold shower. And I'll tell you what, I made it about 12 seconds my first time. 12. I skipped the next day because I said, this is just insane. I think it was the 3rd day. I said, I'm going to try it again. I said, F this, F this, F this. I don't know what F you're using. I said, forget this. That's the F I used. Okay. But there was some choice words in there. So the second time I tried, I made it about 14 seconds. The 3rd time I tried it, I made it about 20 seconds. This is insane. But guess what I found out? I found out that my mind was beating me, and I had to change my mindset. And I had to tell my mind, I'm the boss of you. You're not the boss of me. I'm going to win the day. I'm positive. I'm going to win. Nobody's going to throw me off track. And when I did that, the next thing I know, the very next time I took a shower, I made it 3 minutes. And then the next day I made it about 5 minutes. And then I started taking ice cold showers because I would feel so positive getting out of that shower that nobody was going to beat me because I've talked to myself in the shower. I've given myself a positive mental attitude, and I actually did something that most people won't even try. So I challenge you to try it today, and let me know how it goes. Reach out. We're almost to the end, guys, but the fourth piece is actually running your business. So I run my business basically between 1 and 4 p.m. I'm obviously a self-agent and I don't have an assistant. So that's when I do my lock boxes, paperwork, closings, things like that is between 1 and 4 p.m. So that's kind of the structure of my schedule. And those are the 4 parts that I suggest. But filling your mind with positive information, I highly suggest that you check out Keeping Current Matters. And I can share a link with you guys, a discount link if you want to try it. You can try it for free. You might even get a $25 gift card, I think. But I'll share a link with you because you know what? That gives you mortgage information, real estate information nationwide, and it helps you be the professional that you need to be in order to stand out in this crowd of agents that are out there today. So, Alyssa, I think we're getting towards the end here, and there was maybe a few more things that I could have covered, but I hope I brought the fire today. I hope that people watch this and say, we need to connect with him. We need to be at EXP. Why aren't we? Right?
Absolutely. Okay, Carlo, I got a page of notes going on right here. I mean, it's going. It is. And one of the things that you said that it was kind of an eye opener for me was I just wrote cold calling and then reframe community outreach, helping people, because that is something for me. When I think about cold calling, I'm like, oof, I can't do it. Community outreach, that's real. That's a big reframe for me. So
yeah. I've got a recording. I don't know if I shared it with you guys, but I've got a recording. I think it was the first day that I tried to use that mindset. It's on my recording because I had to say it in order to hear it, in order to believe it. It wasn't just me telling myself that. I had to actually record my calls and hear myself say it in order to believe it. And I believe it today.
Oh, that is powerful. Well, all right. I've got my page of notes out here. I believe our viewers probably do too. But Carlo, give them a recap. Give them a recap of what they need to know.
Okay, well, half-hour recap in how many seconds? I don't know. Listen, there are 3 pillars that I use to hit icon. Plan your business, and I'll share with you a 14-page business plan if you connect with me. I'd like to help people get to icon. There's no extra charge for that. That's the first pillar. The second pillar is time blocking. I'll share with you my schedule and how I used a schedule, the exact schedule I used to get to icon. You don't have to do the exact one, but the point is I'm going to help you build your ideal schedule. That's the second pillar in my class. And the third pillar in my class is to know your darn scripts, know what you're talking about, so that when you get those at bats, you're going to be lucky too, because preparedness is going to meet opportunity. How's that?
That is amazing. I want to thank you so much for coming on to Level Up. This has been powerful. It's been wonderful. So I appreciate your time. And guys, we're going to close out here today. Let's get ready and see what else is coming up in Level Up.
Love it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.